Hello friends. So today we are going to talk about MaxDOP, that is called as max degree of parallelism. So as usual the agenda would be understanding what is MaxDOP, right, and then some practical demo as well. So what is MaxDOP? The MaxDOP defines as the maximum degree of parallelism is a server configuration option for running SQL Server on multiple CPUs. It controls the number of processors used to run a single statement in parallel plan execution. The default value is 0, which enables SQL Server to use all available processors. Right? In short terms, the parallel processing aims to separate big tasks into more than one small task, and this small task will be completed by discrete threads, that is multiple threads. Okay. In this approach, more than one task will be performed in unit time, thus the response time will be reduced dramatically. Right. So let me tell you or explain you in a way that whenever SQL query is executed on a server, right, if the SQL query or query optimization engine or the query engine find that this is going to take a much more time, is a big query, right, then it is possible that the query engine might actually separate out this big query into some smaller chunk. Then each chunk is assigned to a separate thread, and each threads works separately, and then once each thread completes its task, they are again joined back, and the query results are produced, right? So this is the thing, but that the query is being actually separated into several tasks, right? And that's where this max loop value comes into the picture. Okay. The max loop precautions, there are some precautions to use this value. This option is an advanced option, so and should be changed only by an experienced database administrator or certified SQL Server professional. Setting max degree of parallelism to 0 allows SQL Server to use all the available processors, up to 64 processors. However, this is not recommended value for most cases, right? Now, okay. Uh, how does MaxDOP work? So, for example, when we say it assigns to discrete threads, right? I will, of course, show you in a demo as well. That SQL Server also uses all the CPUs. Okay, so basically when we say discrete threads or separate sessions, then each session is allocated to a separate logical CPU, right? So based on this, this value is actually, we can use this value. So for example, if your server or machine have 8 CPUs, right, then maximum maxed value can be 8. Okay, of course there are some formulas also or the calculations also, right? But maximum, the max degree of parallelism can be used, that is of until the 8 processor, that is 8 CPU. So whenever your query would generate a parallel plan, right, the maximum threads would be generated would be 8 at a time. Okay. You can override this max degree of parallelism server configuration. So basically, you can define this max dop value on 3 levels. One is on the server level, then is on the database level separately, and then on a query level as well. And the highest precedence would be taken is in this order. That is, if you define on a query level, then whatever you have defined on a workload, that is instance level or database level, doesn't matter. Similarly, if you have define a maxDOP value on a database level, then whatever you have actually configured on the instance level doesn't matter, right? So this is the hierarchy: query, database, and then instance. Now this is the guidelines or the the calculation. So for example, you have a server or a machine with a single NUMA node less than or equal to 8 logical processors. Then keep your maxDOP at or below 4 for logical processors right? Again, server with single NUMA node but greater than 8 logical processors, then keep that at maxDOP at 8. Server with multiple NUMA nodes or less than or equal to 16 logical processors, then keep maxDOP at or below 8 of logical processor or NUMA node. And similarly, greater than 16 logical processors, then you can half the number of logical per NUMA node with a max value of 16. So basically, you will find so many resources, to research more on this. But this is basically a general guideline on how to set the max depth value, right? So yeah, let me show you. Let's action this and let me open my SQL server. So before we go and I show you how maxloop is work. So let me first show you that how you can set this value, right? So as I told you, it can be set on the instance level. So this is my instance. Just right click it and go to the properties and then go to the advanced, and you can see here the max degree of parallelism. So currently it is set as 8 processors. Okay, I hope everybody knows that how to find out that how many logical processors are allocated to your server or machine, right? I'm not going into that. But if you can see here, this is like 8 processors. Similarly, if you go to the database individual, then right click on the database and then go to the options. And in options, you can see this max loop. So currently it is 0. 0 means unlimited. Now, when we say unlimited, right, which means this would carry a value from your instance level. So even if you have a 16 logical processors, right, but if your instance level is being set at 8, then it would actually use 8 logical processors, right? And with that query, as I told you, so you can use this option here, saying that option then MaxDOP is equal to 1 or whatever logical processors here. Now here also, if your logical processor are 8 only, and still if you write 16, it doesn't make any difference. It will use 8 only. Okay, so this is the graphical user interface, how you can change your MaxDOP value, right? Or else you can use this as well. So basically, if you can see here, use AdventureWorks 2019. So this is, as we told, this is an advanced option, and you can rechange this. So for example, here it was, if you can see here, currently it is 0. Okay, so let me execute this. This has been executed, and if you now see this, go to the options. Oh, sorry, this is on the instance level. Okay, so this is on instance level. So let me do this 4. Okay, and now let me execute this. So this has been executed, and you can see here properties advanced, and you can see here 8 has been done, right? So we had made 4, but with the help of this T-SQL statement, you can configure it, we configured it to the 8. Right, now let us see how does this makes a difference, because I told you that it makes a huge difference, right? So this is a query from AdventureWorks 2019 sample database, and I have actually replicated the values of the data so that we can find a difference, right? So if currently you can see that at instance level we have set the value as 8. Okay, so let me execute this before this option clause, and let me execute this. So you can see on my screen this got executed within 3 seconds. And when we go to the execution plan, right, on the select statement, you can see the degree of parallelism is used as 8. Okay, you can see here the degree of parallelism is 8. Okay, now if I go and change this database degree of parallelism as 4 here, so instead of 0 I'm saying 4. And now let us execute this query, right? So now you can see here it has taken 4, the degree of parallelism, right? See, basically here the data is not that much, or the query is not complex, because you will not see the you will not be able, I will not be able to show you exactly the timings, or the time taken by the query, because the data is not there. Okay, but otherwise believe me that more number of CPU you are using, then your query would be running much faster. Okay, so you can see here, though we have on instance level, though we had here 8, and on the database level we had 4. Here in options you can see here 4. So what actually query considered? It considered as a degree of parallelism as 4. Why? Because as I told you, the highest precision first is the query. If you specify anything with the query level, then it will discard the database and instance. If you specify anything on the database level, then it would discard on instance level, or else last it would take in of the instance level. Now let us see how query option works. So this is my query. Option MaxDOP is equal to 8, right? I'm actually executing this query with this option, and you can see the query execution completed within 2 seconds. And you can see here degree of parallelism was 8, and when I say 1, let us execute this. Now you can see it has taken 5 seconds. See, this is the difference, right? For the same number of records, when we used only one CPU, right, then it is showing me 5. And when you go down, and you can see the degree of parallelism. So there is no parallelism itself, right? So degree of parallelism was 0 because we were using only one CPU here. We had specified that only one CPU. So one CPU means there would be no parallel plans would be generated. And how to identify the parallel plans, right? So let me again go back to this option MaxDOP. I'm saying 8, and when we execute, say again, it would come back within 2 seconds, right? And when you go to the execution plan, can you see here the double dash here, right? Which shows that, parallelism, the parallel plan was actually generated. You can see here this parallel plan. Okay, let me show you this simultaneously. So this took around 2 seconds. Okay, and when we say 1, so you can see here one means we are not using any, we are saying that, okay, there should not be any parallelism, so only use one CPU, right? And you can see here it has taken 5 seconds. Okay, now let me execute this both simultaneously so that I can show you the difference, how to identify whether parallel query was actually executed or not, right? So now if we go to execution plan, there are two plans here, and you can see here there are two double dashes here on each of the operator, right? So this means that, a parallel plan was generated and executed, and in this case the below query where the max loop option was 1, you can see there was no double dash, which took more number of time, right? And here you can see there is no parallel plan. So this is where, you can identify whether your query was actually executed with a parallel execution or a sequential execution, right, guys? So this is a max loop value, right? Research more on this, so to understand this. But in a final words, the final words would be that max loop value we use to identify that how many CPUs you want to use when your execution plan is generated, your execution parallel plan is generated, right? And how many CPUs. So if you specify the value 0 means unlimited. So all the CPUs which are currently basically available on the system would be used if your parallel execution plan is generated. And that for that this maxDOP value is being actually configured and used. Okay, I hope you have understood, guys. If you have any question, you can surely write me in a comment. If you want anything, more clarification on this, right, guys? So please don't forget to subscribe my channel, and also don't forget to, like my channel, so that, I keep creating such good videos for you. So thanks a lot for watching this. Meet you next time with next good topic. Till then, bye and take care.